The Cold War, the war no one dared to fight. When the guns of World War II finally fell silent, the world exhaled. Cities lay in ruins, millions were dead, and humanity promised itself one thing above all else: never again. But history had other plans. Because even as peace was declared, a new conflict was already taking shape, quieter, colder, and far more dangerous than anything the world had seen before. This was the Cold War. In 1945, two nations stood taller than all the rest. The United States, rich in resources, confident in democracy, and committed to individual freedom. And the Soviet Union, hardened by sacrifice, driven by revolution, and devoted to communism. They had fought side by side to defeat Hitler. But once the enemy was gone, the alliance began to crack. Not with gunfire, but with suspicion. Each side looked at the other and saw not a rival, but a threat to its way of life. Europe became the first place where that fear turned visible. The Soviet Union tightened its grip over Eastern Europe, installing governments loyal to Moscow. Across the continent, invisible lines were drawn. One side promised freedom through democracy. The other promised equality through control. Winston Churchill would later call it the Iron Curtain, a shadow stretching across Europe, dividing families, cities, and futures. America responded not with tanks, but with money. Billions of dollars poured into Western Europe through the Marshall Plan, rebuilding nations and strengthening allies. But this generosity carried a message. Communism would not be allowed to spread unchecked. This belief became America's guiding principle, containment. And soon, that principle would lead the nation into wars it never officially declared. The first flames ignited in Korea. A single country split in two. One communist, one capitalist, became a symbol of the world's divide. American troops fought under the United Nations banner, while Soviet-backed forces pushed from the north. The war ended not with victory, but with a stalemate, and it set a dangerous pattern. Because the Cold War would not be fought directly between superpowers. It would be fought through other people's wars. Nowhere was that more devastating than in Vietnam. What began as a distant conflict slowly consumed American attention, money, and lives. Jungles replaced cities. Protests replaced parades. And when the war ended, America was forced to confront a painful truth. Power did not guarantee control. While soldiers fought overseas, fear crept into American homes. At home, the enemy was invisible. Communism was no longer just a foreign ideology. It was a suspected presence. In classrooms, in Hollywood, in government offices, careers were destroyed by accusations. Friendships shattered by paranoia. This era, known as McCarthyism, revealed how fear could turn a democracy against itself. Yet fear also drove ambition. The Cold War leapt beyond Earth itself. When the Soviet Union launched the first satellite, America panicked. Then it responded. Rockets roared. Astronauts rose. The space race became a new battlefield. Not for territory, but for prestige. Each launch sent a message. We are stronger. We are smarter. We are ahead. But beneath all of it, every speech, every conflict, every technological leap, lay a single terrifying truth. Both sides now possessed weapons capable of ending the world. Nuclear weapons. By the 1960s, the United States and the Soviet Union could destroy each other many times over. And they both knew it. This balance of terror became known as mutually assured destruction. No one could fire first, because no one would survive second. That fragile balance was tested in 1962. American intelligence discovered Soviet nuclear missiles in Cuba, just 90 miles from U.S. shores. For 13 days, the world stood still. Warships closed in. Missiles were armed. Leaders prepared for the unthinkable. Families went to sleep unsure if they would wake up. And then, at the final moment, the missiles were withdrawn. The crisis passed, but the message lingered. Humanity was living on borrowed time. Slowly, cautiously, the ice began to crack. Treaties reduced nuclear arsenals. Leaders spoke instead of threatened. And in 1989, the most powerful symbol of division fell. The Berlin Wall. Crowds gathered. Hammers swung. Concrete crumbled. 2 years later, the Soviet Union itself collapsed. The Cold War ended not with an explosion, but with exhaustion. It lasted over 40 years. It reshaped nations, destroyed lives, inspired innovation, and brought the world closer to annihilation than ever before. The Cold War proved that wars don't always need bullets to be deadly. Sometimes, the most dangerous battles are fought with ideas, with fear, and with the silence between threats. Because when the war was cold, the consequences were anything but